Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle podcast. I am your host, Aeron. It's time for a special Wrestlemania preview. Jeremy Miller is somewhere. We don't know right now where he is because he made some crack about sandwiches and his wife is furious. So he'll be joining us at some point randomly. So expect him to butt in. But right now, it's myself and Kyle Wilkinson.
Hey, it's your boy, ready to talk about a card that none of us are really that interested about, but here we are for you lucky fuckers.
Kyle's looking forward to some Tim Hortons, eh? And then he's going to get some hot coffee, eh? And watch some WrestleMania.
Shut up, you hoser. I'm going to get me some donuts and that there Tim Hortons, and then I'm going to sit down and drink that Tim Hortons with some good old WrestleMania on the background there, eh?
Can you imagine if Edge spoke like that? Oh, that Randy Orton's going to get quite the kicking about WrestleMania. Ooh, last man
We're going to kick him right out in the boot. Oh, but I'll have to apologize thereafter.
Yeah, WrestleMania is this weekend. You'll have to excuse us. I've had way too much coffee and it's 6 a.m. So, yeah. Right, we're basically going to run down this card. We're going to throw some opinions at it, and we're going to let you know why we don't give a shit, but we're looking forward to watching it anyway, because some wrestling is better than no wrestling. So, let's start off with the big one. Rhea Ripley defends the NXT Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, that's... I'm going to say this now, so I don't have to repeat myself, but for about 90% of these matches, 90%, maybe like 40, what the hell am I talking about? But I'm upset that there's going to be a lot of star-making matches on this card that won't have the same effect because there won't be a reception from the crowd. And this is one of those matches. Like, if Rhea Ripley pins Charlotte Flair clean, that is a rocket strapped to fucking Jupiter. And it's going to be to dead silence. The match itself, I think, is going to be great. I think Rhea's more than just, like, you know, the big muscly brawler that's going to beat the hell out of you. And I think Charlotte's going to take that out of her. And these two are going to just put on an absolute clinic. But not having a crowd is going to take away from a lot of that.
Yeah, this has been my biggest problem, and we're going to be dropping a YouTube video very soon talking about why we don't think WrestleMania should be a thing this year, or at least not, excuse me, at least not during COVID-19 and, of course, the quarantine. Yeah, I'm in for the great. I actually think Rhea Ripley's going to win. I think Charlotte Flair's going to do the favours here, which I think is great. It's just like you say, does it matter as much if there's no audience there? If the audience is only all online? Like, you know, we know what social media means. To a lot of wrestling fans, it means much more negativity than you would normally have and normally be inspired by. And there's something about this that doesn't sit well with me. I worry that matches like this, which will be fantastic matches, are not going to get their point across because the atmosphere is not going to be there. And this is, of course, the main, point of argument for WrestleMania. But nonetheless, I have to say this is probably right up there as one of the most must-see matches on the card. I think this will deliver far more than most matches. I really do. Brock Lesnar defends his WWE Championship against Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, that's, for me, this is the single biggest victim of not having a crowd. No, I'm not trying to be insensitive. I know COVID-19 is a thing. Like, we've talked about it on this show numerous times. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, but now look what you've done. The liberals are going to be after us again.
Good. They can suck my left nut.
Yeah, fucking liberals. By the way, we're not actually Republican or Conservative or right-wing in any way. We just don't believe in labels here at WrestlePlug, so leave them at the fucking door.
But Drew McIntyre is the single biggest victim of a crowdless WrestleMania. This is supposed to be his coronation. He eliminated Brock Lesnar from the Royal Rumble. Lesnar sold that Claymore for about 5 minutes, laid out flat, and that's even before he started to get up and hobble away. I think Lesnar's hit him with one F5 the night after the Rumble, and then Drew's just been coming out on top again and again. The last show, I think with a crowd for Raw, he Claymored him 3 different times. And it was absolutely brilliant. This is his moment. He came to this company in 2009. He was the chosen one. He had an Intercontinental Championship run. He had a few tag team title runs. And then 3MB happened, and he's like, fuck this, I'm leaving. So I'm pretty sure for a while he did go back home to the UK. I'm assuming he did some shows for, like Rev Pro or Progress or something, and then came back stateside, was an Impact and absolutely just destroyed. He was fantastic there as Drew Galloway, and then came to NXT, dominated there, and then his main roster re-debut, I suppose, was a little less than excited because he was paired with Dolph Ziggler, and that's just a death sentence. But none of that matters because look where he is now. Winning the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble, going up to face Brock Lesnar, and my prediction, and I hope most people's are, is that he's going to win. And it's, again, just going to be to, crickets. There's going to be absolutely no one there. And it's a crying shame.
Yeah, there's not really much I can add to that. I was excited about this match, really excited. I've really enjoyed Brock Lesnar's work over the last couple of years, and I think Drew McIntyre, I mean, what haven't we said on this podcast about what Drew McIntyre should be and what could be, when he's pushed the right way? This is going to be a spectacular hoss fight. They're going to kick the shot out of each other. I expect it to be relatively short as well. Lesnar tends to have really good matches when he keeps them under 10 minutes. I really like those smash mouth matches. Like, as much as I'm not a fan of Goldberg, his match with Goldberg at WrestleMania 33 was phenomenal because it was just no filler and all killer, which I believe is a Sum 41 album. All filler, no killer, something like that. But ultimately, like you say, I really believe that this match is severely hindered by the lack of a crowd. I think for Drew McIntyre to have his shining moment, to have his moment in the sun, so to speak, and with no fans, and no fans for the foreseeable future as well, if, news reports and whatnot are to be believed, that's a really hard pill for everybody to swallow, and especially Drew. And I know Drew will say, hey, I'm still at WrestleMania, I'm main event at WrestleMania, but for me, it's a little bit disappointing. I just feel that if they just waited, if they just hung on a few more months and just said, you know what, we're going to wait because we think that the fans deserve the Mania as much as we do, then we might have had something different. But I fear for this match. Brock Lesnar, how motivated is Brock Lesnar going to be working in front of an empty audience? Do you think we're going to get the same work rate from Brock Lesnar?
God, no. Like, he'll still go out, he'll still do his job, and he'll hopefully make Drew look good, but he's not going to go out of his way to do anything. Like, he's not going to put on the last few Survivor Series, putting on those bangers with AJ and Daniel Bryan, and he's just, I feel like it's not going to be as bad as his match with Ambrose at, I think it was 32?
32, yeah.
Yeah. We all know how much of a fucking car crash that was. I don't think it'll be like that, but I think he'll be kind of just going through the motions, and that's a disservice to Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, it's not really much else I can add to that. Goldberg is still advertised as facing Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship. This has got some people suggesting that maybe there's a storyline behind this or a swerve and he's just going to jump Goldberg from behind to beat him in a few seconds. But realistically, I don't think that's the case whatsoever. I think Roman Reigns is taking his health very seriously and I absolutely commend him for it. Any ideas who might possibly step in for Roman Reigns? I know there is a big rumour going around that Braun Strowman may be stepping in to fill that void.
I was going to ask you not to say that.
Ultimately, it needs to be somebody who can be a realistic threat. For me, I quite like the idea of The Fiend beating John Cena on night one, and then in night two, maybe, penultimate match, Goldberg's out there, he says, Roman Reigns couldn't face me, so there's nobody else who's next. Nobody's going to take this belt away from me. And then The Fiend appears out of nowhere, chokes him out, takes his belt back. That's my ultimate scenario. Any ideas on who you might stick in the fold? Let me put you in a position. Carl Wilkinson is in charge of booking WrestleMania now. Carl Wilkinson has the final say. Who or what, should I say, does Carl Wilkinson do with this match?
That's that's an incredibly difficult position to be in because, given the current world climate, it's difficult. I would love to have seen Roman just destroy Bill. I'm just going to call him Bill now. I think that would have been Billiam Goldberg. I think that would have been definitely best case scenario, but Roman definitely doing what's best for his health and fuck everyone who thinks he's being a little bitch for pulling out. The man has leukemia. Just because it's in remission doesn't mean it goes away. So fuck right off. That's the smartest career decision he's ever made, in my opinion. But to replace it, I do like the idea of the Fiend getting the win back because he never should have lost. As soon as it was announced that he was going to face Goldberg, I'm like, well, fuck the Fiend character, I guess. But, excuse me. I don't want to see Braun. I don't care about Braun Strowman, unpopular opinion or not. Couldn't give a shit. I haven't cared in a very long time. That boat has come and gone. Daniel Bryan would have been a really good shout, but he's currently facing Sami Zayn, which will also be great. We'll get to that in a little bit. There just doesn't seem to be any viable contenders on the SmackDown roster. And that's a shame because Fox paid $1 billion for them. And there doesn't seem to be a single person that can measure up to Goldberg. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. If I had my pick, it would be Daniel Bryan. Straight up. Like I would just rearrange other matches. But I would love to see Daniel Bryan beat Bill Goldberg. And because we all know Goldberg's not much of a wrestler. If anyone's seen that match from the WCW days where he's supposed to squash, I believe he was known as Steven Regal at the time, Lord Steven Regal. But they have a match on, I don't remember if it's Nitro or Thunder, but Regal makes Goldberg look like a little bitch. He wrestles a complete clinic around him. And, he does eventually do the deed, take spear jackhammer, but Goldberg can't wrestle. He should not be the Universal Champion, and I think Daniel Bryan would be the absolute best choice to take that.
I want you to sit back, pour a glass of wine if you're listening. I want you to take you on a little story. So WrestleMania is too big for one day. It's over 2 days this weekend. And on day one, Daniel Bryan is scheduled to face Sami Zayn for the IC Championship. And just as he's about to walk through the curtain, he turns to his good friend Drew Gulak. And he says to Drew, "You have been an inspiration for me. And you have pushed me to be an even better star than I ever thought I could be. You have brought something out of me that I never thought was possible. You have improved me in every sense, Drew. And for that reason alone, I want you to have this match. I want you to have an opportunity at the Intercontinental Championship." So Drew Gulak goes out there against all the odds with Daniel Bryan watching on in his corner with such pride and happiness that he has afforded this opportunity to Drew Gulak. And against all the odds, he gets the Gulak applied and Sami Zayn taps out and we have a new Intercontinental Champion. A beautiful moment, you will all agree, I'm sure. Fast forward to the next day, Daniel Bryan's incredibly happy. Drew Gulak's on cloud nine. Drew Gulak says to him, why did you give up your opportunity? Why did you give it to me, Daniel? He said, because ultimately I have something else in mind and I couldn't think of anyone who I wanted to take my place more than you. And so later in the night, Goldberg is out there. He's on the microphone. Who's next? Nobody's next. Nobody can take this from me. Daniel Bryan's music hits. He blindsides Bill Goldberg. He hits him with a knee plus over and over. They have a pretty short but relatively exciting smash mouth affair. And just when you think Goldberg is rearing up for that big spear, just as he's about to hit the jackhammer, Daniel Bryan, as he lifts him up for the jackhammer, Daniel Bryan counters and drops him into the yes lock. The main event of WrestleMania. We've already seen Drew McIntyre crowned as the new WWE champion. Goldberg's in trouble. He's in peril. He's desperately scrambling. And he tries to get to the ropes, but he just can't. And he taps out. And Daniel Bryan becomes your new Universal Champion.
Yes.
The confetti comes down.
Yes.
The confetti is pouring down. the people all around the world chant yes from the comfort of their homes because they can't be there, but they are in spirit. And as Daniel Bryan breaks down in tears, he turns around and there's Drew Gulak with the Intercontinental title over his shoulder, and he starts applauding him. And he gives him the biggest hug and he says, I knew you could do it, Daniel. And WrestleMania goes off the air with Drew Gulak holding Daniel Bryan's arm aloft as both finish the night as major champions of the company that they helped build back to relevance. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is WrestleMania 36 in a nutshell.
I don't think I can add any more to that. I'm getting some WrestleMania 20 vibes from that right there. That got me right in the feels. I would. Oh, the bad things.
Think about it. We could completely extinguish whatever the legacy was that Chris Benoit left behind, and we could create a new one with two men that we know are superior in every way, and two men who are great world-class technicians in their own right. I feel very strongly that Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak, in many ways, could very much be the Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero of this generation, but without the horseshit, without the bullshit. And the idea of, you know, Drew Gulak and him embracing, I just think there's something there. There's something really magical, and I think if you wanted to have a beautiful end to WrestleMania, if you wanted to have it, you know, one that really said to the fans, because who better to have as the champion closing the show, the man who is such a huge part of the people. Daniel Bryan is the heartbeat of the WWE Universe. He's the heartbeat of the Yes Movement, and he's the heartbeat of us, the fans. He represents us. He is Captain Relatable. He is just like one of us. Hard-working, hard-grafting, the underdog. It'd be perfect to have him go over Goldberg. Of course, we're probably going to get a 2-minute squash, but hey, it is what it is. But that's my fantasy booking. That's what I want. And goddammit, Vince, you're going to give me what I want. I would quite happily have Batista
give me what I want
at this point. Yeah, you're going to give me what I want. I love that. I absolutely love that. But yeah, that's my little fantasy booking, ladies and gentlemen. No, I don't expect it to happen. I know I'm being quite delusional and, you know, free thinking, but hey, somebody's got to be at this time of the year. Becky Lynch defends the Raw Women's Championship against Shayna Baszler.
5-minute squash. That's all I want.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add to that. I want to see Shayna Baszler run her over. I do. I want to see her decimate her and wreck her. Do you know what I want to see? I want to see the women's version of Brock Lesnar versus John Cena from SummerSlam.
Yeah, 110%. I want Becky to get no offense in. I want, you know, sure, she can come out with all the pomp and circumstance, you know, the steam, being the man, doing all that. I want the man to be humbled by the submission machine that is Shayna Baszler. I want Becky to choke out. I want her to have some sort of like fucking blood pack in her mouth, and then, you know, when she's getting choked out, bite it down, make blood come out and shit. I want this to be savage. And, you know, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, you want Becky to lose? Yeah, I fucking do. She's been champ for a year. It's just not entertaining to watch anymore. Shayna is incredible, and all the people who disagree are just wrong. I value your right to an opinion, but I'm going to tell you now that you're wrong. And yeah, 5 minutes. That's all I need. 5, maybe 6 minutes. But I just want Shayna to destroy her.
Remember that glass of wine that I asked you to pour earlier, ladies and gentlemen? I want you to keep back. I want you to take another bottle if you've already finished one, and if you haven't,
another bottle.
Another. Hey! We're having a good time. Don't ruin my vibe. Don't crush my vibe out here. So, pour yourself another glass of wine. Take it easy, because Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch is a masterpiece in storytelling. This isn't going to be a very long match. It shouldn't be a long match. But what's so important is the finish of this match. The Kirifuda clutch. The fact that Becky Lynch refuses to submit and she passes out under the will and the power and the strength of Shayna Baszler. And while she lays prone and Shayna Baszler holds her title aloft with a vicious, foaming at the mouth mentality. It's written on her face. It's etched on her face. This is the moment that I fucking deserve. She gets the microphone and she just sits down and she pulls Becky Lynch up a little bit. And she rests Becky's head on her knee so to speak, as she sat down, and she just looks at her and she says, "Do you know what? You are the man. But behind every man is a better woman." And as she says that, puts the Kirifuda clutch in one more time and just mauls her, completely mauls her. And we see a bloody, battered, internally bruised Becky Lynch carted out on a stretcher with Shayna Baszler just standing aloft with the belt, watching her stretched into an ambulance, walking past her, just being wheeled past her. The idea of this maniacal presence. This is what I want. You're gonna give me what I want. That's what I want. I do. I want that short, smash mouth, violent affair. I really do. Hell, just let me book WrestleMania at this point, Vince. I know what I'm fucking doing. John Cena versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, in a Firefly Funhouse match. What can we expect from this nonsense?
We're definitely going to get some Rambling Rabbit doing, I don't know, maybe a little bit of an ankle bite, get all those cool puppets and mainstays of the Funhouse to do some shenanigans. I think the end of this match should be The Fiend beating John Cena, because as much as I can appreciate what Cena's done for the industry as a whole, we don't need him anymore in 2020. The Fiend needs to get the win back he suffered at WrestleMania 30, because that was a mistake. I expect all sorts of stupid shenanigans, because it's pre-taped. I think we all know by now that WrestleMania is being recorded in whatever way they do it. And that being said, you could do some really wacky stuff with this. You could, like, fucking have, you know, maybe start the match with Bray Wyatt. And then, you know, maybe he's getting the crap kicked out of him, and after a while, he just starts laughing, the lights go out, comes back, the Fiend is there instead, and just destroys John. The amount of things you could do with this, because it's pre-taped, the limits are just, there are none. There are no limits with what you could do with this match.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Pre-taped. This has the potential to be WWE's final deletion. And I know they've already done it with Bray Wyatt, ironically enough, and Matt Hardy. Bray Wyatt is the guy. If you're going to do crazy shit with crazy backdrops and crazy settings, Bray Wyatt is the guy to do it in. He's the guy with the maniacal kind of outlandish personality. He's got that character that fits into that ridiculous mold where nobody else could. And the one thing I will say for Big Match John is that he is quite good at being in carnival-like atmospheres, because he's a bit hokey and a bit cheesy at the best of times. So this will actually suit him. I want to see something really wacky and crazy. I really don't want him to take this too seriously. I do want it to go a bit edgy. I like the idea of, you know, the fun house is all colourful, isn't it? And it's lovely, and there's these pictures on the wall, and it's all cartoony. And then I want there to be moments where, you know, the kind of static hits, and then all of a sudden the room is just covered in blood and scratches on the walls and victims and screams, and then all of a sudden it's, you know, flits, and then all of a sudden it goes back to normal, and he just keeps changing between the Fiend and Bray Wyatt. If there's one thing WWE has at their disposal that they can use to their advantage here, it is their fantastic video production quality. They are masters of creating great video. Now, I know that people ripped on the New Day for their Wyatt compound match. People said that it was just a complete rip of final deletion and whatnot, but ultimately it was still very well executed and very well produced. I actually think it's really underrated when the New Day went to the Wyatt compound. I actually love that segment. I think it's much better than people realise, but this is an opportunity here to do something very cool. I love the idea of Rambling Rabbit just biting John Cena's ankle. I think there's a lot of potential here. I think there's so much potential here, and I just hope that they, in a way, the less serious they take it, the better a product I think they'll get from this match. And if this had just been in a normal arena, I would have had zero interest in it. And I have openly gone out and said that I have no interest in John Cena versus The Fiend. But because it's going to be completely off-site now, and in such a wacky environment, my interest has been very much piqued by the concept of what they could do. I'm excited, and I'm going to give WWE the opportunity to see what they can do, because I know that when they go all out, especially when it comes to video production, they can produce gold. I'm just hoping that this is going to be the time when they do it, because it could genuinely be an absolute banger. And like you say, Bray Wyatt has to go over in this situation. As much as I, understand John Cena and everything he's done, and I'm not a fan, and I never will be, I do respect his work ethic, and I do respect the quality and amount of years he's put in, fairly relatively injury-free for most of that time as well, which is bloody impressive. So, okay, his style is boring and clunky, but at the same time, it's relatively safe, and I have to admire that. For the Women's Championship on SmackDown, a fatal 5-way elimination match. Bayley defends her title against Lacey Evans, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Tamina.
Tamina's in there. Cool.
All right. Still employed.
That's big and scary. Yeah.
Your cup does overflow with enthusiasm.
I can't contain myself. Wow. But I think this is an elimination match. I think it's a fatal 5-way elimination. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Yes, it is. Elimination match. So it will come down to 2, and it's pretty obvious who it's probably going to come down to.
Yeah, if it's not Sasha and Bayley, what's the point? I mean, it used to be...
We're all down to Tamina and Naomi.
Yeah.
I think, ultimately, this is a match that, I know this is going to sound awful, but nobody cares about this match. And why would they? This is, 5 women who, with the best will in the world, have been woefully underappreciated, underbooked, overlooked. Naomi is, for me, the star of this match by some margin, although I do love Sasha Banks. I think she's wildly underrated and wildly underappreciated in her own right. I think Naomi should probably come out as champion for me, just because I think it sends a good message and it sets a good precedent. I think she's an anomaly in the women's division because she's so much more athletic than anyone else. That's one thing I've always loved about Naomi, is the fact that she is a natural born athlete and she can do things in the ring, especially in the WWE ring, that other women just simply cannot do or cannot appreciate. And that would be quite important to me. But yeah, I've got to be honest, out of all the matches on the card, this is right near the bottom of, matches I care about. This is very much... not because it's a women's match, because we love women's wrestling here, but when you look at the other, the women's matches, the 2 high-profile singles matches involving, obviously, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair as well against Rhea Ripley, this feels so poor. This feels like a supreme consolation prize in relation to the other women's matches, and it'll probably be fun. It'll probably be relatively entertaining, but at the same time, it's not something I care about. And I'm also disappointed that Dana Brooke won't be taking part, because I like Dana Brooke. I think she's worked hard. She's gone under a lot of stress. She's gone through a lot in her life to get to this point, and she's shown incredible strength to get to this point. And it would just be lovely to kind of see Dana Brooke in this moment. But, ultimately health comes first, self-isolation comes first, so she won't be there. And to me, that takes a lot of what I was excited about this match away from it.
Apologies, my friends. The controller died, and I was on a roll too. I didn't even notice.
I covered it so beautifully, but you still had to mention it anyway.
I don't lie to the listeners, man. I'm completely open and honest with you guys.
Fuck them all. You're shut up and listen. No, I'm kidding. I love you all deeply. Hey, I wouldn't be doing this at 6:30 in the morning if I didn't. But yeah, no. Thank you for blowing the whistle on that. So, I mean, I can't be bothered to edit it. You just have to deal with it. But yeah, what were you going to say, mate?
Pretty much, I don't know where it cut out, but the end will come down to Sasha and Bayley. I think they'll be like, hey, let's help Bayley retain. Sasha's like, we'll get ourselves doubly counted out or something. And Bayley will be like, hey, that's a great idea, friend. And as soon as Sasha turns her back, Bayley will just clock her in the back, and Bayley will retain. And then going into the springtime, we'll have Sasha as the face, Bayley as the heel, and
Carl Wilkinson seems to have died again. So, as Carl Wilkinson dies, I guess I'll just keep talking. I assume Carl needs control of batteries. Yeah, I think what Carl's basically alluding to is the fact that it's going to be Sasha Banks versus Bayley coming down to the end. I can't see anyone else doing it. As much as I'd like to see Naomi involved, I think Naomi would be a great winner. It's got to be, hasn't it? It's got to be Sasha Banks and Bayley. But this is... do you know what the biggest problem with this is? This is a rivalry that they have just poured over for so long, and they've never pulled the trigger properly. You know, they teased it. They had this little battle on Raw where they started kicking the shit out of each other in the locker rooms. Then they didn't pull the trigger on that, and they thought, oh, do you know what? We've gone through some counselling, and we're actually friends. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is... No. Terrible. You know, and then they've just been a tag team ever since. So they won, you know, they were the first ever women's tag team champions. Don't think that was a good choice, personally. That's just my opinion. And they've just danced around it a lot. Bayley turned heel because she wanted to stay loyal to Sasha, and this title run has been so underwhelming. And I like Bayley, the person. I think she's a lovely human being. She's a wonderful wrestler, but she's ultimately so boring. She has no character. She's not very good on the microphone, in my opinion. And I'm supposed to sit here and believe that she is one of the premier champions. And when you look at the other two, Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley, she's just not even close to their level. And I'm not a humongous fan of Becky Lynch. So that tells you everything you need to know about Bayley. She is ultimately quite disappointing for my money.
She's been champion for over 300 and something days now. She's the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion. Yeah, it hasn't been that exciting of a title run, honestly. She wanted, money... She beat Becky for like Money in the Bank or something, or one of the
few... She Money in the Bank and beat Charlotte Flair, I think, who had just beaten Becky for the title.
Yeah, I knew it was at Money in the Bank, because that was the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania, if I remember correctly. Because it used to be Extreme Rules and they switched it all around. But yeah, it's just, I love Bayley. I loved Bayley when she was a face. I loved her theme song. I don't even know why. I just did. I loved the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men, the Bayley buddies. I thought that was hilarious. Now her theme song is just generic wrestler 73 from WWE 2K like 4. I know they weren't 4 back then, like 2004, but the music's just really bad. The entire character is bad. Just, not that I want really Sasha to win it either, but I don't know, just make me care, WWE. That's all I want, is you to make me care, because I haven't in Bayley for a long time.
Make me care, I think, is really the catch line for this whole WrestleMania. It should literally be, make me care. WrestleMania 36. Make me care. that's basically how I'm looking at it. It is difficult for me to care about that match, but they have an opportunity, like you say, to do so. So we'll see what they can do. Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. Seems like we've been putting up with this rivalry for quite a long time. This is another one of those matches where I'm sure it'll be fine, but ultimately I have no emotional interest and no attachment to this. I've seen this way too many times, and this feels like a low-rent version of Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho from WrestleMania 33. And for me, that had far more emotional context because of the Festival of Friendship and everything that came with it and costing him the Universal title. This just feels very low-rent. This feels like, hey, we've got some mid-carders, let's throw them at each other and see how they do, because we know they're good workers.
Yeah, again, it's very common knowledge that I'm a big KO fan, you know, Canada, woo. But this match itself... Like you say, it's going to be great, or at least passable. Both guys are great workers, but I just don't care. And that breaks my heart when I talk about a Kevin Owens match that I don't care about. But they're just... Like, the promos by Chaos in particular have been fantastic. The one he did this past Monday, great. But, like, I don't care. We've already made the joke. Tagline, make us care. And there's nothing about this match that I care about. I want KO to go over. I want this Monday Night Messiah to get his comeuppance. And then him and Becky can fuck off and go on holiday at the Performance Center, or wherever you're allowed to go. Because, you know, Corona. But there's nothing here. There's no meat to this match sandwich, and that's a really bad joke there, but you're welcome. And I'll watch it. The match will be fine. But if the match was to not happen, I wouldn't be upset one way or the other.
Yeah. Do you know what the biggest problem is? Oversaturation. It's classic WWE. Yeah, we know that these two can have a good match. You know why? Because we've seen it 50 fucking times in the last 3 months. It's just too much at this point. It seems like Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins have been more, and don't get me wrong, right? Feuds could be great. But, for instance, here's a good example. Austin versus The Rock. Their feud was iconic, but they didn't wrestle each other on every fucking Raw or SmackDown. And that's what it feels like. If it's not a one-on-one, it's always some sort of indirect tag team match, or, somebody else will replace Samoa Joe this week. Somebody else. And even this week again, Kevin Owens and the Street Profits versus Seth Rollins and Angel Garza and Austin Theory, who replaced Andrade, who's unfortunately injured. I just thought, Jesus Christ, mate, go away. That was it for me. I'm sure it'll be fine. But for me, it's a Raw mid-card match or a Raw main event, and I don't think it has a place at WrestleMania. And I think if you can't find something good for these guys, maybe take them off of the card. And I know that's sacrilege to say, but ultimately, WrestleMania should be about the cream of the crop, and it should be about having the matches that mean the most, not trying to force everybody on the card. I'm a little bit surprised, actually, I'm not surprised. The reason they haven't announced any Battle Royals is because, they're not allowed. It's as simple as that, which is probably going to be quite refreshing, actually, because, let's be honest, the Battle Royals are a fucking joke. They're just a jobber royal, is what they are. So, yeah, this match is in that bracket of I don't give a shit. As is Elias versus King Corbin. And as much as I like Baron Corbin, I think he is arguably one of the best heels in wrestling in the world today. I think Elias sucks balls. I think he's a terrible gimmick. He bores me. He's not funny. He's not clever. His guitar playing is all right. But ultimately, I don't give a shit. And I certainly don't give a shit that he's defending the honor of some goober like Rob Gronkowski, who had literally one of the worst showings I've ever seen when he debuted on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. This is a match that I give zero fucks about, and I do not want to watch. And I guarantee you that when this match comes on, I'm going for a piss.
Yeah, this is the piss break match. I mean, I can't remember Elias ever actually having a match at WrestleMania like he's always done, like his performances and stuff. This is not the way to make me care. King Corbin attempted to murder him last week on SmackDown, I think, like throwing him off a balcony or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. Just, it's another one of those matches where there's just nothing to it. I don't care. If this match wasn't on the card, I wouldn't be upset. It's just filler. This is honestly just filler. There's a lot of that on this show, and it's just, I understand that, sure, maybe these guys want to get a payday for WrestleMania regardless of the circumstances, fine. But Jesus fucking Christ, I could not possibly care less about these two.
In a similar vein, Bobby Lashley takes on Aleister Black.
Why? What reason do these two have to have a match
Because
but
money,
why?
that's why. Because they're trying to cram everybody on the fucking card, and once again, Heath Slater, bless his heart, gets woefully overlooked. I don't give a shit. I really don't. And I like Aleister Black. He's exciting. I like the MMA-based combat. I was a very big fan of Tommy End. I was very blessed to have seen him up close and personal at many British independent wrestling shows. He is an amazing talent, and I think if he's booked the right way, he could have incredible potential. This is not going to help him. Bobby Lashley is fine, okay? Now, he is a specimen. He's a monstrous man. He's muscular. He's put together. And he's actually quite a good worker, I think. I actually think he's really underrated. However, he is still mid-card meathead. He is the new Ryback for all intents and purposes. Just, a little bit better put together in terms of his in-ring work. But I do not give a shit. Not even close. I don't care. And like you said, why? Why do we need Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley? This goes into my argument again. You don't need 2 days. You don't. And the fact that you've got 2 days so you can have matches like this is an insult and a waste of my fucking time. And as much as I like Aleister Black, I'm probably going to have another piss or even possibly a shit during this one.
There's little to no reason for this. Yeah, sure, you want to fit them on the card, then give them a good fucking reason to be there. Not just, hey, these 2 guys aren't doing anything, let's throw them together. Aren't you excited for this? You better be excited. Man, I'm so excited. Are you excited? I'm excited. No. Just no. Aleister Black was phenomenal down in NXT. Since they brought him up, I'm sitting in a room. Someone knock on my door.
It's a shit
Great.
gimmick.
No one wants to knock on my door. Well, I'm going to go look for a fight.
Can we just call that what it is, mate? It's fucking garbage. It's a fucking terrible gimmick. What the fuck is that? Oh, I'm going to sit indoors. He has the potential to be like an assassin. He could be the new Hitman. He could be a legitimate Hitman. He looks a little bit like Hitman, doesn't he? He's got the suit on and everything. Like, he's got the potential. He's got an aura about him. He feels dark. He feels menacing. He could potentially be a smaller version, a more athletic Undertaker. There's so much potential with this guy, and he's not that bad a promo either. He's a little bit slow talking, but hey, it worked for the Undertaker for so long. No reason why it can't work for this guy. He's quite menacing, and he's got good tones about it, and he's got great facial expressions. He looks terrifying. I like the sitting down thing. That's kind of like, you know how the Undertaker would sit up, or Bray Wyatt would do the spider crawl. This is his little thing. I like this, the fact he just sits down and people are like, whoa, what the fuck is he doing? What's he doing? I really like that. It works for me. But this gimmick is shit. And my God, do you know what Aleister Black's problem is? He's too cool for his own good. He's so calm, he's so collected. You know, he's got the beautiful wife, he's got the good lifestyle, and he's a hard worker. But ultimately, he strikes me, I know this is going to sound quite sacrilegious to some people, he strikes me as a bit of a yes man. He strikes me as the kind of guy that if Vince said to him, oh, God, it's a great idea for you, Aleister, he'll just do it because he's just happy to have an opportunity. But for me, if he flexed himself creatively, he could be so much more. And I feel bad for Bobby Lashley because I actually think he's all right. I actually think he gets a really bad rap because he's put in some terrible storylines and he's put with some terrible people as well, other than Rusev, of course, who is just gold. But this match, this does not even belong near the main event of a Raw. You know, this is a match that you'd find on Main Event or Superstars or Velocity. You know, just Sunday night heat. Yeah, that's money. Friday night heat. Pointless. Absolutely pointless. Do you know what? I wish they would take 3 or 4 matches from this card and put them on SmackDown this Friday instead. And spread it out a little bit and chill out a little bit and maybe just have 2 or 3 hours each day and make it nice and slim and easy. But no, absolutely not. They're just going to cram this shit full of content. And again, this match, I don't care about it. And I care about it even less when there's no fucking audience there. It's a shit gimmick. You know, 2 great wrestlers with 2 god-awful gimmicks. Pointless. I have no intrigue whatsoever.
Do you remember when Bobby Lashley was in Impact or TNA? He was a fucking boss. Like, I'm pretty sure he held every title simultaneously at one point, just because he could. He was treated like a star in Impact. And when he came back, I'm like, all right, this will be pretty cool. We'll get to see him and Lesnar go at it at some point. Just 2 big, meaty, musclehead hosses going head-to-head with an MMA-style match. And they've been kept away from each other. I felt like that was the reason you would bring him back. And now he's married to Lana and facing Aleister Black for no reason. Good. Yay. Solid book in there, guys. Great.
Yeah, congratulations. Sami Zayn defends his Intercontinental Championship against Daniel Bryan.
Can we just gush over the fact that Sami Zayn finally has a singles title on the main roster? Like, it's not the way I want it. I'm happy it's finally happened. But at the same time, it's almost too little too late.
That's how I feel. I actually think it's a bit shit. And I'll tell you why. Because he doesn't really wrestle anymore. He He doesn't wrestle much, does he? He doesn't really do anything. And even in that 3-on-1 handicap match with Braun Strowman, he didn't put a lot of effort into the wrestling side of things. He doesn't seem to work much anymore. I don't know if that's to do with injuries or concussions or safety protocol, whatever it may be, but I just feel like they've pulled the trigger way, 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 way too late. And this is going to shock people, unless they're going to go through my fantasy booking from earlier. I don't care about this match. I have no interest in it whatsoever. And even if Daniel Bryan wins, which would be a fantastic result, and it'd be great for Daniel Bryan to be holding a prominent mid-card belt, because God knows when he holds a belt, it certainly carries a lot more credibility. I actually don't give a shit about this match because I have lost all interest in Sami Zayn. He's very funny as a mouthpiece, and I like his commentary, but I don't take him seriously anymore as a credible wrestler and athlete. That's a shame, but it is what it is.
That's a heartbreaker because, again, a little bit of the national pride, but I still love Sami Zayn. But even I'm not naive enough to go, all right, he's finally champion. Great, they're finally going to do something great with him. They're not. If he beats Bryan on this weekend, what's going to happen after that? Just nothing. Probably nothing. He's going to hold it for who knows how long, defend it maybe twice, including this weekend. He's just a placeholder, and that is an absolute heartbreaker.
Transitional champ, baby. Transitional champ. Otis versus Dolph Ziggler with Mandy Rose at ringside, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could have this match without her involved in one way or another. I mean, I'll be honest, this is one of the matches that I have the most emotional investment in because Otis is just a big, lovable doofus who was on his way to getting the girl. And then some sort of shenanigans, we don't know exactly. I'm sure we can guess one or two things. But now Manny's hanging out with Dolph Ziggler for some godforsaken reason. And Otis has just left heartbroken. If Otis doesn't pick up the win here, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't even care if he gets Mandy. He could win and then go, you know what? I don't need you. That's fine. That's great. But I'm hoping Dolph will make Otis look like $1 million. We know he can bump with the best of them. So hopefully Otis just tosses him around. The fact that Otis and Dolph Ziggler have one of the highest emotional investments for me at a WrestleMania is actually stupid.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I am intrigued by this, actually. And the reason for that is because of the storyline they built. Elimination Chamber, their last pay-per-view, was phenomenal. I genuinely believe that SmackDown Tag Team Chamber match was one of the greatest chamber matches of all time. I thought it was utterly phenomenal. And I'm amazed that people weren't that hot on Elimination Chamber because I actually thought it was an incredible pay-per-view. I went on record and said that I thought it would be better than WrestleMania. And I'm very curious to see how WrestleMania pans out because Elimination Chamber for me was a blockbuster. Obviously, wrestling's subjective, but I am interested in this match. I will say that much. And I'm very curious to see how the dynamic of Mandy Rose goes, because obviously we've also got Sonya Deville involved, haven't we? And there's very much an indication of she has been, tampering with the potential relationship. And she's kind of like, oh, I just want the best for you. And, sort of sticking her nose in and going, yeah, you don't want to go out with that blob over there. You want to go out with gloriously good-looking 7-hour sex marathon Dolph Ziggler, which is... This rivalry certainly has a bit of Vince McMahon written all over it, and I guarantee that if it ends with Dolph Ziggler macking out with Mandy Rose and, old lovable doofus Otis ending up just some fat guy with his heart broken, that'll be Vince McMahon, because he'll be like, fat people don't get love. That'll be Vince McMahon in a nutshell. But I am intrigued. I will say that much. I think that it has the potential to be a really entertaining match because it's just so unique. There is nothing like this on the card. Otis wrestles entirely differently to anybody else. Tucker has the potential to do something here as well. Be interesting to see. No, Vince, they'll probably have Tucker turn heel on him, something stupid like that, which would just be a heartbreaker. But this has the potential to have me emotionally invested. That's what I'm most excited about. So I can't say fairer than that. For the Raw Tag Team Championships, the Street Profits defend their titles against Austin Theory and Angel Garza with Zelina Vega in their corner.
Yeah, that's kind of a random pairing, isn't it? I mean,
Andrade's injured.
Yeah, and he's either injured or pulled out or whatever is happening. But man, I don't know a lot about Austin Theory. Like, I don't watch Evolve. I don't watch NXT because, again, I've said this a million times before. I don't get the USA Network. But I mean, I think the match itself is going to be fucking incredible. We've seen what Angel Garza can do. I've heard about what Austin Theory can do, and Montez Ford is a fucking star, assuming he can walk after that stupid bump he took in front of nobody on Monday. But again, there's no real reason to get excited for this match other than the ring quality. So it'll be great, but I don't really care.
Yeah, I think that this match has potential to be a great match, if nothing else. That's what I'm most excited about. I think Angel Garza is really slowly evolving as an early frontrunner for MVP for me. He just comes out and has great matches every time. He had some incredible wars with Leo Rush on NXT. And I really like this dynamic of Zelina Vega being, the masterful businesswoman, bringing in new talents. Oh, Andrade's injured, but I've got Austin Theory coming in as my next new talent. I think that's great. And also, Austin Theory, how amazing is this? He made his debut in NXT, 3 or 4 weeks ago? And he's already at WrestleMania. Like, wow, potential. Like, he could really catapult himself into stardom here. You got to be impressed. And I don't know how much you've seen of Austin Theory, very little by the sounds of it. I think you're going to be highly impressed. Austin Theory is very well put together. Very proud to say, actually, that the Progress show that I did ring crew for, where I worked security and worked around the ring and put the ring up and stuff like that, Austin Theory actually wrestled Jordan Devlin that night. And, he's a really cool guy, actually. Yeah, I know. It was a fantastic match and very cool to be a part of the ring crew, to be one of those people there, protecting the safety of the wrestlers and having a chance to kind of work around someone like Austin Theory. And that was a very, it was a privilege, and I was just blown away by the fact that he was 20, 21. My brain imploded. I couldn't believe it. He wrestles like a guy in his mid to late 30s in his prime, and here he is at 20. He's just, the world is at his feet if he can do it the right way. This will be a fantastic opportunity to see what he can do, because there may not be a massive audience, but it's still a lot of pressure for someone like him, because he's being thrown in the deep end very quickly, and it could really make or break him. But I think it will make him. I really do. I think this is going to be a fantastic match, and a little part of me would actually like to see Zelina Vega start to build her own kind of Latin World Order faction. I think that'd be quite cool. And the idea of these, I know that obviously Austin Theory isn't Latin, but he could be part of the faction anyway. You could have, I don't know, Zelina Vega's business clients or whatever it might be. But yeah, great potential here. I'm actually very curious to see how that goes. On the women's side of things, the women's tag team championships will be defended. Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors, will defend against everyone's lovable small pairing of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
When was the last time the women's tag team titles defended TLC, when it was Becky and Charlotte?
Becky. I believe so, yes. I think there's been a couple of defenses quickly or briefly on Raw.
Oh, okay, because I don't recall any, because it seems to me like these titles are just a joke. No,
they are a joke.
No, honestly, it seems the only person that actually cares about them is Alexa Bliss, because she's the one that started going, hey, you haven't defended those in a while. Hey, these titles are supposed to be defended across all brands. Hey, Kabuki Warriors, come on over to SmackDown. No, please, come on. I'll even open the door for you. I love the Kabuki Warriors. I think they're incredible. I think everyone knows our love for Asuka on this show is just unparalleled. We absolutely adore her in every possible way. Kairi Sane's just this lovable and adorable little pirate who's not as much of a pirate anymore, but that little evil laugh she does is supposed to be intimidating, I'm sure, or something, but it's just adorable. These titles mean absolutely nothing. I love Alexa, I love Nikki, but again, it's a really big theme that we've already mentioned. I still just don't care. I'm happy to see the titles defended. I think the two teams are probably the two predominant women's tag teams because, I mean, Mandy and what I remember the other one, Sonya, are doing the whole Otis and Dolph thing. The Iconics haven't been seen in forever. Sasha and Bailey are doing their own thing, so like these are the only two teams. Why would you introduce a tag team championship for a division you can barely build? That'll be something we could rant about at some point.
Fucking right. I'm quite happy to go on that. This is hard for me because I love all four of these women. I think they all have such a credibility and an excitement about them. I absolutely adore the Kabuki Warriors, and I also think they're great tag team champions. The problem is they've had no credible contenders, and the belts have been treated like a fucking joke, despite the fact that they're around the waist of them. I think they add credibility to the belts far more than anyone else has. I think they're easily the best tag team champions they've had so far. Much, much better. I know it's a small sample size because ultimately there's only been, 4 different teams that have won it, including them, but this is a nice match because I feel like Alexa Bliss is quite underrated and doesn't get used much. I feel like Nikki Cross deserves to get more work in than she actually does as well. This is the match where you may not care about it as much, but you're definitely going to enjoy it. And I love the Kabuki Warriors. I love the style, and I'm not somebody who's into anime and things like that, so I'm not really. I just love the culture, the color, the exuberance, the flamboyance, and the way they present themselves as characters. And like you say, they're just so. Like Kairi Sane is like the most adorable human being alive. It's actually disgusting. She's like a live bunny rabbit. It's just ridiculous. She's just so freaking adorable. But they are vicious also. And very credible wrestlers, and I still believe to this day Asuka is the best women's worker in the entire company. Not the best wrestler, full stop, but I think she's the best worker. I think she's the person that you can rely on. She's the Daniel Bryan in the women's division for me. She is the woman that can go in there with anyone.
Oh, good shout.
Great match.
Good shout.
And for me, I believe that will be the case with this match, and I believe that the Kabuki Warriors they work beautifully with anybody, and they get the best out of people, and they will definitely get the best out of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. There's going to be a lot of entertainment factor to this match, and also the sheer level of hilarious Japanese promos. I would almost like to see Asuka keep taking timeouts during the match to do commentary because she is so hysterically funny on comms. But there is also a suggestion she may not be wrestling because apparently she's suffering with illness. Or an injury, something around that region, but not exactly confirmed, but a lot of reports coming out that she may struggle to make WrestleMania, which will be a heartbreaker if that's the case, so fingers crossed. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to be a 5-star classic, but out of all the mid-card matches that people probably don't care about, this is the one that I probably care about most, just because I love all 4 people involved in it. I really do. This should be an absolute stonker of a match. The Miz and John Morrison defending their WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships in a triple threat ladder match against The New Day, Big E and Kofi Kingston, and the Usos. Oh, suit you, sir.
What could we say? This is like, oh boy.
They're gonna die in front of nobody.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be like, SummerSlam 2000 or WrestleMania X7. It's gonna be, like a 3-way ladder match. It's not a TLC, but that doesn't mean they still can't do that kind of stuff. And someone's gonna get hurt. I could just see Big E doing his stupid dive, like his suicide dive through the middle rope, and he's gonna like land on a ladder or something and just break his neck or some shit, and it's absolutely terrifying. These guys are going to put on one hell of a show, and no one's going to be there to see it. It's a crying shame. I know I keep saying that. I'm going to keep saying it because that's a point we really need to hammer home, is the fact that this show is still going on when it has no right to. But it's going on, so we're just going to sit here and enjoy it either way. This match is going to tear the house down. And these 6 guys are other than maybe The Miz, I don't know. I wouldn't call him super athletic in the same way as, the Usos or Kofi or even Big E, but especially his tag team partner, Morrison. I'm excited he's back. I've met him a few times going to Impact shows. Super funny guy and stupid athletic. Prince of Parkour or whatever the hell his name is now. He did that huge move off the top of the chamber. I mean, sure, there was like 12 guys down there to catch him, but it was still great. No fucking fear. The man's actually insane. But this match is going to be a very good time. We're all going to enjoy ourselves, and they're going to bust their balls for absolutely no one.
It's really sad because this would no doubt be my match of the night, and I'm expecting it to be. It does seem very interesting, though. So I have it on good authority that the Floridian State of Athletic Commission has ordered that there be no more than 10 people for any social gatherings due to COVID-19. You will have 6 people involved in this match. You will have a referee. You will have 2 announcers. You will have at least 2 camera people. Not to mention whoever else is on site. There is no way you are going to be able to get away with that. Absolutely not. You're not pulling the wool over my eyes here, but I'm okay with it if they are, because this should and could be their TLC. This could end up being the TLC match that was WrestleMania 17's ladder match, or the triangle ladder match. This could be the defining moment of that day. I would actually push to have this as the main event of one of the days. Maybe Saturday night. I would have this as the main event for that, and then the following night I would main event with Randy Orton versus Edge, because I'm a bit wild like that, and we're about to talk about that match, but this match is going to be sick. I mean, the Usos versus New Day alone is incredible. It's one of the greatest tag rivalries of the modern era, I believe, and I think it will eventually go down as that. And what's so cool is the fact that it's teeming with diversity as well. It's so cool that rivalry doesn't have anyone, who's white. And I know people with white privilege are now going to kick off and go, rah, rah. But ultimately, I think it's really cool. And it's a very diverse lineup. And then you've got, of course, Miz and Morrison, who are white and here to spoil the party. But they are so good together. They just have so much history, and they were great. Do you remember the Dirt Sheets back in the day? So much fun, those YouTube channels.
I love the Dirt Sheets.
So funny. So funny. So underappreciated. They've got great chemistry. A lot of people have said that I'm turning into Jim Cornette, but I will vehemently disagree with him when he says that The Miz is a goober and an idiot. You are utterly wrong on every level, sir. The Miz is fucking phenomenal, and the fact you don't think so means you are entirely wrong and you're an idiot. I love The Miz. I love John Morrison. I absolutely adore the Usos, and do you know what? I'm sick and tired of fans chanting "Fight Forever." I hate that chant, but I tell you what, the Usos and the New Day are the exception to that rule. I am more than happy for them to fight forever, because they are ultimately tag team royalty, and if the Usos come out of this as 7-time tag team champions, I am going to be one very, very, very happy bunny, because then that means that New Day and the Usos both have 7 tag team title reigns, and ultimately, when it comes down to it, that means we're going to get the mother of all rubber matches. I can't even imagine what kind of match would contain this lot. Could be something truly, truly special. And I'm looking forward to another chapter in what has been an amazing tag team reign. It's time for a bit of boneyard action, mate. Undertaker versus AJ Styles in a boneyard match. Are you ready to get boned?
Aha, phrasing. I want this match to be great. We all saw the promo that Taker did on Monday. If it's the American Badass against, the good Southern boy, give me all of that. Again, this is a match like the Firefly Funhouse match where it's pre-recorded. You could do some wacky shit with this. Do it. AJ can make a broom look good. He could wrestle a fucking potato chip and sell for it. I don't care. When I first heard this match was rumored, I was not that excited, because the last few Taker matches have not been good. The exception being his tag match with Roman at Extreme Rules. I thought that one was really, really good. But he also worked extra hard to rinse Saudi Arabia and Goldberg out of our memory. So we don't need to say anymore. We don't need to say anymore about that. We know how awful that was. I'm going to be cautiously optimistic for this because, like I said, I think AJ can do anything with anyone. And if Taker can bust his ass, get into good ring shape, I think this match would be full of carnibolics. Man, I'm picking up all your euphemisms, but it's fine. And it would be fun. It would be seeing my favorite wrestler probably of all time in AJ Styles against my favorite when I was a kid in The Undertaker. This is two generations clashing, and do some crazy shit. I don't care what you have to do in a boneyard match, which I'm hoping is just fancy talk for buried alive. They just don't want to say that because people will be like, oh, you're insensitive to people dying of COVID. Fuck off. God, I hate people. But I think this match could be fun. It should be fun. And I'm just praying to whatever deity happens to be above that it will be.
I thoroughly agree with that sentiment. I didn't want this match. I made it very clear on the podcast and have done since the get-go. I even released a rant on the YouTube channel about it, so like and subscribe. I honestly didn't want to see this match, and a little part of me still doesn't, but if I'm going to get Biker Taker, oh baby, I want to see this match. And even if I don't get him, but I get a more edgier version of him, which is quite nice to see, a more realistic version, very cool. I think that, like you say, a lot of this is down to what kind of carny shenanigans or stupidity they're going to do. Do you know what I want them to do? I want them to go a little bit like the Rosemary, Ali, Sue Young stuff that they've been doing on Impact, where they're sort of going into the underworld. Send AJ Styles and Undertaker into a almost dark underworld style, something separate. They're like, oh, this is off-site, ladies and gentlemen, and we don't really know where Undertaker and AJ Styles are. And AJ Styles turns up at like a standard graveyard, and Undertaker sort of transports him in. He's like, what the hell is this? And it's just like them unleashing fury on each other in this almost Mortal Kombat-esque realm. AJ Styles like launching off the walls, trying to take down this more robotic, more kind of static enemy. The Undertaker just striking him with hammer blows, and Gallows and Anderson trying to blindside him with shovels, and just to fucking make it as crazy and as fun as and entertaining and violent as possible. You have an opportunity here, don't waste it. Really go for it. And that if there were people like Matt Hardy on site, they'd be able to really help and influence the creative control of this. They're not, obviously, Matt Hardy being an AEW, but they still have so much potential here. And I hope that they don't take themselves too seriously, because that will be the biggest mistake. This match is exactly the same as John Cena versus The Fiend. It's one that I didn't want to see, but it could end up stealing the show if they do things the right way. So we'll wait and see. We will wait and see, because as much as The Undertaker is an old man, and I'm sick and tired of seeing him wrestle, he still has the potential in him. And I think if anybody's going to get a great match out of him, like you say, it will be AJ Styles. And rounding off the WrestleMania preview, Edge versus Randy Orton in a last man standing match. My body is ready.
I've got 2 words for you, and I think that could sum up this entire match.
Creamy
main
goodness.
event. Oh, well, yeah. Okay, so I have
it.
2 sets of 2 words for you. Creamy goodness and main event.
Chronic masturbation.
Okay, well, you keep thinking of pairs of words, and I'm going to give my reasoning as to why this should be a main event. It's something we've talked about.
Yeah.
There's nothing more personal on this show than this. Edge comes back at the Royal Rumble to possibly one of the loudest pops I've ever heard, rivaling the Hardys coming back. Or, I don't know, Austin winning at WrestleMania 14, some shit like that. And the night after, he thinks, man, this is great. I'm going to do this again. His former tag team partner comes out. They have a little hug. Oh, wait, RKO Concerto. And the way Edge sold that Concerto, like seeing his arm twitching and the fingers just going as if he's trying to make sure he still has feeling in his arms because of his neck. That was just some brilliant storytelling on that. But Randy RKO'd Beth Phoenix. And who, by the way, I know I've said this before, but she sold it better than some of the men have. Just going to throw that out there. It's fucking brilliant. These two have such a storied past. And this is probably behind Drew McIntyre and Lesnar. This is the biggest victim of having no crowd. But on the other hand, it's because it's the last man standing, no disqualification. They've got an empty building. They can go anywhere and just beat the holy shit out of each other in every possible way. Their imagination is the only thing that's going to limit them from doing whatever the hell they want. And I don't know if you've noticed, but Edge is a very creative guy. We give Randy Orton a lot of shit, but he's still a good pair of hands. He can do some crazy creative shit too. These two deserve that main event. I'm usually a very stickler for tradition. I like seeing the world title being the main event because it is, that's what everyone's aiming for. But this is different. This is special, and it deserves to be the last thing people see before WrestleMania signs off the air.
Couldn't be in more agreement. This must be your main event. It won't be, but it should be. This has had the best build. This has got the best vignette. I have said, I've gone on record as saying the video vignette that they released, that they showed us on Raw for this match, has the potential to be one of the all-time greats. It's up there with the My Way video. It's up there with Running Up That Hill by Placebo for HBK versus The Undertaker. It's an artistic masterpiece, and everybody should check it out. Check out our social media, and we'll make sure you link to it, actually, because it's so fucking cool. I don't know what to say about this match, really. It hasn't already been said. It's going to be spectacular. The build, the storyline, the emotion that's attached to it. And it's last man standing, and they don't need to go anywhere but the arena. I want to see them destroy the Performance Center. I want to see them in the weight room and, just some inventive spots and just viciously annihilating each other. This is going to be Edge's first one-on-one match since 2011. Pretty wild. Pretty wild, how things have changed in 9 years. We get to see Edge wrestle again. That's going to be crazy in its own right. I think Randy Orton's the right opponent for that. I think this has so much history behind it as well, with RKO and, of course, the original run. The fact that Randy Orton is such good friends with him, the fact that he knows Beth Phoenix so well, and that she obviously took an RKO, and like you say, far better than the majority of men on the roster. I have nothing but excitement and thrill for this match. This is the match where as soon as this comes on, I'm not going to be the insane social media guy and the WrestlePlug guy who's just obsessed with trying to upload things and cover things and record GIFs and speak about things and upload videos. I'm just going to stop, and I'm going to stare, and I'm going to watch, and I'm going to immerse myself in a match that I truly believe has the potential to be pretty special. There aren't too many matches at WrestleMania that feel like WrestleMania matches, but this is one of them. And this is what I'm pinning my hopes to, this match. I truly believe it could be something special. And I will be a little bit disappointed when it doesn't main event one of the days, because ultimately I don't think it will. But at the same time, I think it has the potential to completely steal WrestleMania, and if I had to put my money on it, it's either this or the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. But I'd be quite happy to lay my money right here and say that Edge and Randy Orton will steal the show.
I couldn't agree more, buddy. I think these two are going to, again, in front of no people, which is a crying shame, but they are going to do anything and everything they can to make this the best thing that maybe either man has ever done.
Not much to add. to be honest. WrestleMania is this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. It's on Saturday, it's on Sunday. We will be watching it. We will be in Xbox Live parties. We will have watch-alongs. We'll be live tweeting it as well. Join us across the social media platforms at WrestlePlug. Get involved, and also on YouTube. We'll be covering it both days. We'll each have a podcast dedicated to them, which we will probably record directly afterwards. Hopefully Mr. Wilkinson will join me for that as well, which would be nice. And I will have an Xbox Live party open should anybody wish to join us. If you're suffering or struggling with the self-isolation and all the issues that come with the coronavirus, feel free to jump in the Xbox Live party. You don't actually have to have an Xbox, ladies and gentlemen, to join the party. If you just download the Xbox app for free, you can actually sign up with a Microsoft account, which is free. I know a lot of you already have them. If you have the app, you can just set it up very simply and then jump in via your phone or your iPad or whatever device you're using. There are plenty of opportunities, and we will be available. Maybe you want to have a little bit of a pre-match GTA nonsense with us, whatever it may be. We're here to help you, entertain you, and we hope that this podcast has entertained you in the same way and the same format. But WrestleMania, like I say, is just 3 days away, and it's going to be 2 days long. It's going to be different. It's going to be unique, but ultimately, it's better than not having any wrestling. And as much as I believe that WrestleMania shouldn't happen, I'm still not complaining that it is happening. And it will give us all something to do, and it will give us all an escape from what is currently a very difficult climate. Carl Wilkinson, thank you very much for joining me to preview WrestleMania. I look forward to hopefully reviewing it with you as well.
Oh, well, I'm not working at the moment, so I got all the time in the world. I think this show is going to be a very welcome distraction from the current world climate, even if I am in agreement with you that I didn't think the show should go on. But we've said it before, it's going to happen whether we like it or not, so might as well make the best of it. As the boss said, we're going to be having an Xbox party. You're more than welcome to join us and just shoot the shit. Doesn't have to be about wrestling necessarily, like I said, some GTA, or just coming to hang out and talk about wrestling with some like-minded individuals. It's what we're here for.
Yes, indeed. We'll leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever you're listening to this on, let us know. Let us know what you think. What are you most excited about? If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you do enjoy it. And if you're listening to this via the normal social media platforms, because I will, of course, ensure that this is released across all platforms, because it is quite a big event. Just let us know what you're up to, what you're going to be doing for WrestleMania. And don't forget, last minute, but just so you know, WrestlePlug PvP is in full effect. So right now, there are 16 matches. Fuck's sake.
16?
16 matches that will be taking place over 2 days. Yeah, and that's before they announce the, job of Battle Royal, where Titus O'Neil's probably going to wrestle Apollo Crews or some shit. But ultimately, there are 16 matches right now. We will put them up on social media, and we will ask you to send us your predictions for both days. Don't worry about trying to work out which days are which. Just send us predictions for every match that's available that we put up there. Right now it's 16 matches. Like I say, they're available on Wikipedia. If you're struggling to find a match list, just type in WrestleMania 36 and you'll get the match list there. But if you DM us, because a standard tweet won't do it, because it might get lost in translation, especially in our crazy world with the amount of mentions we get. If you can DM us at WrestlePlug what you think all the winners of those matches are going to be, you'll be in the pot to win one of 2 podcast in the banks, which will be valid for an entire year. And what that means is you can come on and chat with myself and maybe Kyle and maybe even Steve when he returns, because you'll have a podcast available to you for a calendar year, and you can literally come on and chat about anything wrestling related you want to chat about, and we will make the time to ensure that you are a part of this podcast. So get involved, ladies and gentlemen. Send us your predictions, and if nothing else, it's quite cool to get your predictions in and get one over on your mates. Ultimately, let's have a bit of fun, let's enjoy ourselves, and although we may not all be as thrilled about the concept of WrestleMania with no audience, at least it's better than no WrestleMania. So let's try and enjoy it, let's try and make the most of it, and we will catch you very soon for more nonsense from the WrestlePlug.